Hello Taurus, welcome to your 2026 Astroclock. I am so excited to be doing this yet another year. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Layla, the Lenormand Reader, and I use the amazing Lenormand deck. And today we are doing a special forecast, our once a year annual Astroclock. If you're new to this is a big spread that uses all 36 cards of the Lenormand deck, and I lay them out in the shape of a clock with 3 cards per hour of the clock. And each hour corresponds to 1 month of the year. So Taurus, are you ready for your Astroclock? I am. Let's go ahead and deal out your Astroclock. And as you're going to see, I deal out at midnight here, but I actually start reading at 1 o'clock for January. So once I deal out the cards, I'll talk a little bit about the clock, and then we'll get into your forecast. Let's go. Okay, Taurus, here is your Astroclock. As you can see, we've got all 36 cards laid out on the table, and they are organized into 12 groups of 3 cards each. So that's 1 group per month or 1 group per hour of the clock. And as you noticed, I start dealing out the cards at midnight here, but I start reading and interpreting starting at 1 o'clock, which is January, and we go around the clock clockwise all the way up to December 2026. Now, before I get into the month-to-month forecast, I like to get an overview or a bird's eye view of the Astroclock. I like to orient myself and to get a sense of where the loud cards are, the positive cards, the challenging cards, and the different theme cards. So what immediately stands out is that these 3 months here between April and June, these are really bright cards. We have the sun, clover, flowers, and star. So there's a concentration of positive cards here. And between February and March, we have a beginning and an ending. So there could be some changes happening in this part. And in terms of the challenging cards, between August and September, we have a few challenging cards. We have the whip in August, and then we have the scythe and clouds, and also the cross can be challenging at times. And then we have the mouse here, although the mouse is not very challenging. And the rest of the cards look pretty even and distributed around. We have the woman in February and the man in July, the ring in May. So I'm not sure if there's a concentration of a focus on relationships this year. So let's go ahead and go into the month to month. And I want you to keep in mind, Taurus, if you're not familiar with how I do things, these groups of cards, these individual groups are going to be the basis for the upcoming monthly forecast. So stay tuned for these. Now in January, we have the key, snake, and anchor. And the snake can be a challenging card, Taurus. It can be a card of deception. But with the key and anchor, I'm not so sure this is going to be the main focus of the snake. Instead, it is very sharp and clever, and it helps you focus on your goals and your objectives. And it's also really good at seeing through things. So in case this is about a person who is going to try to be funny with you, you certainly see through them, and you're also able to put them in place. And so like I said, I don't think this is the main interpretation of the snake. I think really focus on your goals, your objectives, and also be ready to be roundabout, but don't give up on your goals. In February, we have the woman with the garden and child. And so this points to a meeting. It could be a new place or a new environment, a networking opportunity, and you could come out with someone here whom you connect with. Now, the context from these 3 cards is not clear. We don't see it. It could be in terms of a personal situation where you're going out to socialize, or maybe even dating. And it could be a professional network, or it could be something else. But this is definitely a month to be social. We have the garden in the middle. It encourages you to go out and meet with people and connect with others. Moving on to March, this is where we see the coffin, and we see the coffin with the ship and tree. Now, the coffin is often a card of endings, but because of the tree, this could be about postponing more than ending. And with the ship, you could postpone a trip. So it can mean that you plan it differently or move it to a better time and so on. Another way we can read the cards is that you actually travel, but you go off to be on your own. So the tree is a card of solitude a lot of the time. And with the coffin and ship, you could be taking some distance, taking a step back from your day-to-day life, from your work, from everyone else, and just going out to hang out on your own and spend some time on your own. It is a combination of absence and of things being slower. There could be some progress, but it's definitely a good month to slow down. The ship is usually active, but because of the coffin and tree on either side, you could still be making progress, but at a slower pace. So a good time to rest and relax and maybe postpone and adjust plans. Now, moving on to April, this is really exciting for work and money. We have the fish, which is the money card, and the sun and book is great for an offer. So this is a combination that could bring a business opportunity, a work opportunity. You could also get other sorts of deals, or you're following up on some investments. You could be looking into some financial opportunity or financial planning. And on this note, Taurus, the book is really good with budgeting, planning, being detailed when it comes to your finances. So you could feel really good about your income, the financial picture, or your work and business in general. Now, May is lovely. It is the clover, flowers, and ring. This is great for a relationship, an agreement, or some kind of involvement. And if it builds on the previous cards, then you could actually land a job or land a customer or some kind of engagement. The flowers is great for creativity. It's also great for happiness along with the clover. So this is a very happy month when it comes to your relationships and your involvements. And if this is something romantic, then definitely Taurus, these are some really warm cards. Now, June is also lovely because we have the beautiful star. This is a wish fulfillment card, and we see it with the lily, which is another card of work because it's often associated with career. It can affect your life as a whole as well. And in fact, both the Tower and Lily both have this element of life path and longevity, but also this element of work and career. So these three groups, these 3 months, they build nicely on each other, and they suggest that you could be doing well with your job, with your work, your career. It could work out really nicely. And I could actually back up this interpretation to all the way up to February, even January, where maybe you're negotiating a new job, you're negotiating a new customer or a new deal, and you're sort of working towards the opportunity, you're meeting people for it, and then you sort of have to wait for it to materialize, and we see that here it comes to full fruition. So we could see these cards in this context, although of course the cards can be also interpreted for all the other areas. And these are really good cards for healing, for a sense of security over the long term. So really beautiful. Now in July, we have the man with the house and bird, and this is clearly a meeting with someone, a conversation with someone, maybe negotiating or spending time with this person. The bird is the card of conversations, and the house is often about home and family. So it can be someone who's closer to home, but the cards can apply in just about any context. So at work, it could be your colleague, or it could be a partner. In any other context, it could be just someone you have a conversation with or you need to focus on for the month. The bird can be a bit anxious, so there can be some things that need to be clarified, or perhaps you're stressing about this a little bit, maybe in a good way or maybe in a more negative way. When we get to the month of July, we will get more details about your man, house, and bird in here. Now, moving on to August, we have the road with the whip and rider. And this is a potentially challenging combination, although it's also a speedy combination. So the whip is a challenging card. It's essentially the most challenging card of the deck. And so with the road and rider, which are cards that have to do with your direction and your pathway, it's likely that you are changing directions, or maybe this is a bumpy ride. There could be different issues that you need to deal with. And another way to read these cards is with the whip and rider here, which suggests a fast-paced activity. So this could feel like a busy month. You could feel a little bit all over the place. You could have an urgency or an emergency that you have to deal with. This is definitely a month when you're hurrying. At the same time, there can be challenges, and this is all part of the package, where you could feel a little bit spread thin and you have all sorts of things coming up that stress you out and that you have to respond to urgently. And then we see September here. We have the clouds, scythe, and cross. And this is a more challenging triplet because the cross and clouds, they have an element of heaviness. The scythe is often a card of separation and break-offs. Now, this isn't always negative. It could be very relieving and releasing, but with the clouds and cross, it's a bit more challenging, and it suggests that you need to separate from something, break away from something that is holding you back. And in this sense, Taurus, it's pretty clear that September builds on August. These challenges, where you have to deal with all of these issues that come up. At this point in September, you have to break away and let it go. So you have to make a decision about what you keep and what you don't, because it sounds like it's really affecting you. There's only so much you can do with your time, and prioritizing is definitely a good idea, especially when the cross comes up. So this is going to be a challenging couple of months between August and September. And I have to say, Taurus, that this could be a major turning point for you, where the issues are not just day-to-day issues or, other things you're dealing with, but we could be looking at deeper spiritual things going on here, like reprioritizing your life seriously, letting go of difficult people, difficult things, making deeper adjustments and making deep decisions about this. So keep in mind August, September. And of course, when we get to them, we will read them in more depth. So moving on to October, we have the Stork, Mountain, and Mouse. And the Stork and Mountain can be a trip or going somewhere. It could be traveling. But the Mouse and Mountain brings challenges. So this can point to speed bumps, annoyances, blockages in your way. And because of the Stork being earlier, you could find yourself, you're still wrestling with these things. You're trying to find a way out. You're trying to find a way through, and you could be a little bit frustrated. This can sort of build on the previous cards as well. So this adjustment and this deep change, when it comes to doing it, when it comes to making it happen, you could find that you still bump into issues and bump into challenges. So this could feel like a difficult 3 months in this part of the year. Now, moving on to November, we have the Moon, Bear, and Dog, and this is great for a major offer. Because the Moon is often a card of offers, and we see that it does tie into December as well. And the Bear and Dog can point to a promotion, because the Bear is often the card of the senior and the Dog is the card of the junior. So you could be pursuing a promotion. At the same time, you could get the backing or the support of someone with the Bear. And so this is a lovely benevolent energy that we're seeing here. It's also a good combination for friends and your support group, and it could encourage you to spend time together. Now, December with the Fox, Heart, and Letter, this is lovely for jobs, but maybe not so much on the personal front. Why do I say that? Because the Fox is the card of jobs. It is the card of employment. And with the Heart and Letter, you could get a job offer. And we saw that this could build on the previous cards. Now, when it comes to people, the Fox is a bit like the snake. Where's the snake? It's here. It's less toxic than the snake, but it still points to someone who's a bit selfish, self-interested. And with the Heart, it's often a combination of someone who's not really genuine. So with the Letter, you want to be cautious, Taurus, about contact, communication, or exchanges with some people that are not really genuine, where you might feel that they're trying to be nice and stuff, but maybe they don't really mean it. So that could be happening on the personal front. But with work, these are encouraging cards that point to a job offer or other opportunities with your work and employment that align with your desire. So overall, Taurus, this is an exciting year. we do have a few standout combinations and standout months, like the April to June, where there's very happy things materializing, also possibly in relationships. And then we have the August to October cards, mainly up to September, these two mainly, and a little bit in October. That is a little bit challenging. So this could be potentially a turning point, and you could be making some big decisions because you're probably going to get tired of dealing with certain challenges, and at some point you're going to drop them and move on. So apart from this, everything else is looking pretty even. The relationship looks good. The other involvements look good. Financially, it could be pretty strong. And with work, it's also pretty strong. But there is a tough transition. We're seeing it here between August and September, but it could occur. It could be more flexible where it happens. So what do you think of this, Taurus? Are you sort of seeing your year ahead? Do some of these already align with what you're envisioning for your year? I look forward to your thoughts and feedback about this Astroclock. And like I said, when we get to the monthly readings, starting in the upcoming December, where I'm going to be reading January 2026, we take these triplets individually and they form a basis for our monthly forecast, which has been a portrait. I think it's going to stay a portrait. Every time I ask if you want something different, it's always a portrait. So we'll probably stick with that, although I might survey and ask a question. So I hope you're going to stick with me, Taurus, in 2026 as we go through the months. Thank you so much for tuning in. Very best of luck with 2026. And until next time, take very good care of yourself.